What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Sleuth Intuition Live. We're going to talk about a cold case today, case of Lisa Bauer. Now, we're also going to look at the updates here for Karena McClerkin. I'm sure some of you have been keeping up to date with that information, just like I have. But for those of you who haven't, we're going to do a quick rundown on the new information and some of the old information. That way you have an idea of what was going on with that case. But first, there's a case that was brought to my attention by a good friend of mine. This was actually a family member of his, and we had a long private conversation about it. And I know that he planned to bring more attention to it. And I think I'm going to honor him. And I don't want to talk about it too much because if I talk about it too much, then I get all choked up and stuff. But we will be spending a lot of time on this case, maybe twice a month, until we can start building up more theories and hopefully breaking ground. But the most important thing is we just want to bring attention to it. Like it happened in 1998, so this is definitely a cold case. There wasn't a lot of media coverage, even when it originally happened. I had trouble finding any videos. I found 4 articles. That's it. And then one video that's a little bit more recent, talking with the family and looking back at the case. So we are going to begin on that. Hope everybody's having a great day. I know I am. Been working out a lot lately. Been running, riding my bike, hitting the treadmill, lifting weights, hitting the punching bag. That ego is coming back. That young man's ego. I just figure when you get like to the middle age, like around 40 years old, if you don't work out and you don't do certain things, like at some point you really can't. You know what I mean? I think the mysterious ankle injury. How do you wake up and your ankle's just screwed up? That's old man shit right there. Yeah, I can't have that. Yeah, Vanessa. Yeah, it's like working out, gets your blood flowing, works out your heart, clears out your veins, clears out your brain. Yeah, take baby steps. That's what I did. I'd work out for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I'd run a couple laps, then a mile, mile and a half, 2 miles, you know. Yep. It's definitely a stress reliever. And you hear a lot of healthy people who have proven longevity say that your health is your wealth. So I'll go ahead and take their advice on that one. Oh, sorry about that, guys. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to read the 4 articles here on Lisa Bowen. I couldn't find any videos, couldn't find any media coverage until about 20 years later. They finally have kind of looking back at the case and talking with the family, and we'll show that. But I want to read these first so we can kind of get an idea of what was going on at the time. These articles, 1 day later, 2 days, after the crime, following week, things like that. Oh, sorry about my mic. I was just rambling about working out and stuff like that anyway. So, Pam. So yeah, I've been staying healthy, eating healthy, working out a lot, um, and I feel great. I mean, I'm always happy, you know, chill guy, focus on positive energy and things like that. But sometimes that's not enough to sustain you. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, no suspects in woman's death by bow and arrow. So at first they said they didn't know what type of arrow. They thought it was just a compound bow. I'm assuming they used some type of science to determine that, maybe the depth of the wound. I'm not sure, but now they're pretty sure it was a compound crossbow. I'll show you guys some examples of both types. But police say they have no suspects in the bow and arrow slaying of a woman found with an arrow lodged in her chest. Lisa Bauer's parents found her body about 10:30 a.m. Saturday in her Carriage Place apartment. Huntington Police Chief Paul Adams said Bauer, 36, who worked at Cambridge Industries, was divorced and lived with her 12-year-old son in the complex. Police believe she died Friday night. Chief Deputy Prosecutor Amy Westfall said Bauer likely was shot once with a compound bow. A compound bow about 3 feet long uses a system of pulleys to draw a bowstring. It's a spooky feeling, really, neighbor Jennifer Kettler said, but we don't feel real concerned because it was obvious that whoever did this had her in mind. Kettler shared an apartment wall with Bauer. She said she never heard any noise, not even loud stereo. She said she didn't hear anything Friday night either. Oh, that would be awesome. If you can do that, that would be amazing. I'm constantly laughing. I love to laugh. People always ask me why I'm so serious. Hey, what's up, Carrie Ann? Hey, Callie, how you doing? It's my pleasure. All right. So this was the second article here. Police investigating fatal arrow shooting. And this is out of Huntington, Indiana. This is northern Indiana. Northeast. Police continued their search on Monday for the person who killed a woman whose body was found Saturday morning in her apartment with an arrow lodged in her chest. Police were out combing the streets. Prosecutor Amy Westfall said Monday they're turning over every stone. Lisa Bauer's parents found her body about 10:30 a.m. Saturday in her apartment. The circumstances surrounding it would lead one to believe that it wasn't just a random murder, Westfall said. But you just don't know. The slaying, which is the first homicide in 3 years for this town, about 30 miles southwest of Fort Wayne, was a surprise to many. This isn't supposed to happen here, Huntington Police Chief Paul Adams said Sunday. Adams said Bauer was discovered and lived with her, or divorced and lived with her 12-year-old son in the complex. Police believe Bauer, 36, died Friday night. The son was staying with relatives that night, Westfall said. Westfall said Bauer was shot in the chest with one arrow. The weapon was likely a compound bow, she said. So they kind of explain what the compound bow is. But for some reason, whenever the news mentions this case, they refer to it as a crossbow. So I'm wondering if new information in regards to exactly what type of bow it was, maybe they're able to narrow that down. Okay, police continued their search on Monday for the killer of a woman whose body was found Saturday morning in her apartment with an arrow lodged in her chest. Lisa Bauer's, the circumstances surrounding it would lead one to believe that it wasn't just a random murder, Westfall said, but you just don't know. So it's that kind of information that confuses things. Why would you say it if you don't know? So you're just speculating, right? Police continued their search for the killer of a woman whose body was found in her apartment with an arrow lodged in her chest. Lisa Bauer's parents found her body at 10:30 a.m. Saturday in her apartment. The slaying is the first homicide in 3 years for this town, about 30 miles southwest of Fort Wayne. Huntington Police Chief Paul Adams said Bauer was divorced, lived with her 12-year-old son in the complex. The son was staying with relatives that night, prosecutor Amy Westfall said. So what happened was Lisa dropped off her son with a family member, and then she went back to her apartment to get ready to go on her trip. So she never showed up. She never was able to go on her trip, and she was mysteriously murdered with strange circumstances. Okay, now let me pull up the only video that I was able to find on this case, which is which was a little disheartening, to be honest.
She really does. You know, somebody's got to know something.
After 2 decades, a local family is still hoping for answers in an unsolved homicide. Good evening, I'm Heather Herron.
I'm Brett Thomas. 2 decades ago today, a 36-year-old woman was found dead in her apartment with a crossbow arrow through her chest.
The case was never solved, and her family is still needing closure. News Channel 15, Sarah Schaefer joins us with this exclusive story.
The family hasn't talked to us over the years because it was just too hard. It wasn't easy today, but they're still determined to find justice.
20 years later, Lisa Bauer's mother thinks of her daughter's death constantly.
Daily, day and night. It's never off my mind, never.
After Bauer didn't meet her sister for a planned trip out of town, their parents went to her apartment in Huntington. They walked in only to find her body with a crossbow arrow through her chest.
We opened the door that morning and walked in. I'd never have anybody else experience such an awful feeling to walk in and find your kid laying there in the blood.
Police never found enough evidence to send it to the prosecutor's office. Huntington County Prosecutor Amy Richardson was the deputy prosecutor at the time. She sent me this statement saying, in part, "My hope would be that at some time we have enough evidence to solve this case. This is a case that has plagued me professionally. It's a painful and bizarre memory that hasn't left the minds of Bauer's two sisters either."
Everything from that day I can remember just like it was yesterday.
The family says the only progress they've made is forgiveness.
You learn to grieve. I've forgiven whoever did it because that's the Christian thing to do. And, I just miss her.
The sisters hope for justice for the family, especially their parents.
They're not getting any younger, and I just feel they should have some closure.
The family is holding on to the little bit of hope they still have left, with Lisa always on their minds and in their hearts.
My sister was one of the sweetest people on earth, and she deserves justice. She really does. Somebody's got to know something. We'd love to get this solved for my parents and for the whole family.
Bauer's son was 12 years old at the time of her death, and I talked to him on the phone today. He said it was a tough road, but he's moved on. He still hopes for closure for the family. In Studio 15, Sarah Schaefer.
Yeah, that's just heartbreaking. Yeah, Just Pam says not even fingerprints. Yeah, to me, I don't have enough information to put together like a real theory or amateur profile or whatever you want to call it. But the first thing I thought was either it was an accident, whoever was helping her pack, maybe they were depending on where they were going. I'm not sure. Maybe it was an accident. But then I started reading articles of random killings where people would open the door and they would get killed with arrows. Now, this happens a lot in foreign countries, and I guess it's to prevent forensics. There's really no way to trace it back. Yeah, it's horrible. So I'll kind of give you guys an idea for those of you who aren't really outdoorsy or go hunting or into archery and stuff like that, of what exactly these compound bows look like. Recon says a crossbow is silent and dangerous weapon. Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, what does a bullet do? It goes in and it travels through your body, but it makes a loud bang. Then you can also trace it through forensics because of the threads, the muzzle or the barrel threads, and also where the pin hits the back of the bullet. It's like a fingerprint for that weapon. Nope, no stippling, no nothing. Same with black powder guns. I was reading some articles where people use black powder guns or large. I guess there's an older pistol that it's a huge pellet gun. Like the pellets are as big as like a 9mm shell. And I guess that was commonly used by hitmen as well, like in the 80s. Yeah, and we're talking about weapons that are used to take down deer. You can probably take out a deer at what, 15, 20 yards. Yeah, my nephew's pretty good too. I don't know if he's into it anymore. I remember we'd go camping and he'd always bring his archery stuff, and man, he was impressive. He was a youngster too.
Crossbow versus hunting bow challenge. We've done this before, but we're doing it again with the
So there is a crossbow,
Mission Sub 1 versus the V3X.
and there's a compound bow. Now, what these bows are, they enable you to hold back. Like that one there, you can hold it back and kind of hold it there, and it's not going to really put too much pressure on your arms, and you can adjust your aim, and you can sit there quietly. The other one, I believe you have to load it, pull it back, and lock it, and then there's going to be a trigger mechanism. Well, there's probably a trigger mechanism on that bow as well, but you don't have to set it up that way. Yep, smooth bore, gunpowder. All you have is a little bit of nail polish. You don't even have to use black powder. You can just kind of put in something that's combustible, and boom, it just shoots out this, metal ball, and that's it. Yeah, air gun technology, they're really stepping it up with that stuff. It's almost getting out of hand. Yeah, this guy has everything. Probably has a laser. So that'll give you an idea of what they're talking about when they say compound bow. It's not just your regular. And they usually don't say bow and arrow. It's a bow. But I did find something interesting. And the reason I went in this direction is because first I thought maybe this was an accident. But I kind of dead ended, and I'm sure I can kind of follow up once I start gathering more information about the case. Because I don't know where the vacation was. I don't know where they were going. Were they going camping? Were they going outdoors? Possibly any reason somebody would be showing off, a crossbow. I couldn't find any information about that. So if anybody knows, please let me know. Would help. So I figured, okay, I'm finding a lot of hitman stuff in regards to crossbows. And I found this case. And this is scary as hell, by the way. This kind of scared me a little bit because it's like some really planned out, sneaky, like something you would, if you were just kind of being lackadaisical and you weren't paying attention. Oh, somebody's out the door. Like this guy will get you. So let's start. I had an article, but I don't think I have to read that because I think here in this presser, they kind of address all the information in there. So let's just do that. Now, you want to see something cold-blooded. Now, this is the theory that I'm kind of going with right now. Because the neighbors said that, or police say they figured she was targeted. So I'm wondering if maybe somebody hired a hit man, somebody that would be thinking like, okay, how do I hide the forensics? How do I not get caught? How do I keep this connected to the person who hired me? So that's kind of where I'm at, but I don't have a lot of information, so it's really nothing. But it did lead me to this story, which is only a 6-hour drive from Huntington.
2018, the suspect, posing as a delivery man and carrying a large box, attended the front door of a house on Bayberry Drive in Mississauga. When the victim answered the door, they had a brief conversation. Seconds later, the suspect shot an arrow at the victim from a crossbow that was concealed inside the box he was carrying. The suspect is believed to have fled on foot to a dark-colored pickup truck that was parked nearby. After being struck by the arrow in the chest area, the victim suffered massive trauma that was both life-threatening and life-altering. This was not a random act. Comments that were made to the victim by the
Same thing that was said about Lisa's case, that this was not a random act. At least they don't believe so.
suspect indicate that the victim was targeted and that the suspect may have carried out the attack at the request of another individual. We're going to show you video from the surveillance camera on the victim's front porch that shows a portion of the actual attack being carried out.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have this on another video where they repeat it. Let me load that one up. Now, that's some scary shit. I don't care who you are. Look at how calm this dude is. Wow. Yeah, that's terrifying. So let me show you how far this is from the actual from Huntington, Indiana. It's about a six-hour drive. Okay. And I know I'm not pronouncing this correctly. What, Mississauga? Looks like a suburb of Toronto. So this is a 6-hour and 28-minute drive to Huntington. So that would make like Detroit or Cleveland like an anchor point. You know, same distance going in to Canada as it would be kind of coming into Indiana or around Fort Wayne and Huntington. So I'm always looking for anchor points. And that wasn't my idea. Yep, shot right through the box. Didn't even have to pull it out of the box. As soon as she opened the door, she was hit with the arrow. So this reminded me of a lot of kind of what was playing out in my head. So before I even saw that video, I was thinking, man, I wonder if somebody was concealing like a crossbow, or at even one point I was wondering if somebody may have stabbed. But I'm sure you can tell. And the reason I think they mentioned a bow is probably maybe just scientifically the pressure it would take to maybe pierce bone, or to, I'm sure they did something with forensics to determine that. And I know most crossbows, they use bolts, but these compound bow crossbows, they can use full arrows. Yeah, that looked fake, huh? Definitely wearing a disguise. Even looked like he was wearing a fake mustache. 1998. Oh, this one? That one I believe was in 2018. So this guy hired a hitman, hired this guy to try to kill his wife. We're going to listen to some testimony from her right now, but they still haven't caught the hitman. So if they couldn't get the estranged husband to kind of snitch on the hitman, he probably didn't even know who he was. No, this was not done for fun. This was a hit. They arrested her husband for it. So let's take a look at her. She was kind of trying to get her strength back and, you know, get out of that whole basket case. You know, a situation like this can make you extremely paranoid, give you extreme anxiety, um, you know, all kinds of horrible things. And she's going to talk about that now.
On the evening of November 7th, 2018, my life changed forever. After finally leaving a volatile and toxic 5-year relationship, I was finally feeling happy and looking forward to the life I wanted. That all changed for me when I answered the door that evening to a man posing as a delivery person, claiming to have a package for me. In an instant, I was shot with a crossbow, fighting for my life while on the phone with a 911 operator until help arrived. I thought I was going to die. With the amazing work of the police and paramedics, I reached the hospital alive. I underwent 3 days of life-saving surgeries and was put on a respirator to allow my injuries to heal. I did not open my eyes for about 10 days. That's when I realized I survived. Although I survived the attack, I would never be the same again, both physically and psychologically. I have been left with permanent damage and loss. Just in the last 18 months alone, I have undergone over 19 medical procedures, countless CT scans, and another major surgery. To say that this has taken a toll on me physically and emotionally is an understatement. Not only do I live with constant pain, but I live in constant fear. Fear for my safety and the safety of those around me. Fear of large crowds, fear of being alone. I even experience anxiety from the sound of a doorbell. These are just some of the challenges I have now to face with all that I have to endure for the rest of my life, even after the man who shot me is apprehended. If you know anything about the man who did this to me, please call the tip line and speak with the investigators. If you are a victim of domestic violence or know someone who is, take that first step and call the police. Don't let what happened to me happen to anyone else.
Wow. She is so lucky. I mean, you would be standing right there with your heart right perfectly, just waiting there for that arrow. You know, you're presenting the most vulnerable part of your body. Man, that is some sneaky shit right there. It's either somebody who's really smart, well, we know it's a hitman, or it's somebody who has a lot of experience, maybe even law enforcement experience, forensic science, or just common sense, maybe. I don't know. So I figure we'll just kind of talk about that case for a little bit. If you guys have any questions or if you have any ideas on a good direction to go or any ways that you can help with it, we can talk about that here for about 5-10 minutes. And then we're going to jump right into Karena McClerkin because I'm not going to try to take up too much time today. Sasha says, she is so lucky he missed at such a close range, given his composure. Yeah, he barely missed her heart. But he still almost killed her. She was in critical condition for a while. Yeah, so her ex-husband called the hired a hitman. Like, how would you even go about that? Like, I know people try to hire a hitman, but it's always like an undercover cop or something, or somebody that's like, oh my God, this guy really tried to hire me. Or it's one of those fake websites or something like, I mean, you're telling me that there's actual ways that you can do this. That's terrifying. I wonder if it was like some dark web stuff. It could have to be something completely anonymous. Yes, Frank, if you could, anything you can do to help with this case. This is going to be something that I'm going to be covering for the entirety of my channel, until we pack it in. So probably this case, of course, Delphi. We're always going to cover Delphi. And then we're going to start. I've already done a lot of looking into the Evansdale case. So I have a lot of information already. And I'm going to start covering a lot more of that as well. I just want to find some things trying to find something new or something interesting that'll bring some more hype with it and a little more, get people more excited about it, and that way they'll put the information out. Maybe we can generate some more leads or something. That'd be kind of cool. Dark web, right? Like, how else would you do that? Like, if somebody comes up to a criminal and they're like, dude, I need you, I want to hire, can you get me a hitman? Like, they're going to think like, dude, you're trying to set me up. Like, how do you have that conversation? You got to have some contacts, I think. Or just maybe be friends with one. Somebody that you trust. But even then, if you get busted and you're facing life in prison for hiring a hitman, these people tend to roll over and spill the beans. Oh, yeah. And what was he doing at night? So Friday night, Lisa was murdered at, I'm assuming, I think Friday night while she was getting ready. Because if she's doing all this stuff, dropping off her son, packing and doing all this, I'm assuming whoever did this came late at night. And this guy, it was pretty dark outside. Just like the bridge guy caught on camera and still nothing. Yeah. Hey, blind squirrel. Yeah, you got to have some kind of connections or money. Well, I guess connections and money kind of go hand in hand. Yeah, I wonder if the box kind of changed up the trajectory of the arrow. You never know. Yeah, if you guys can find any more videos or any new information, or there was a pretty good Reddit post that I read. It was nice and long. There's a lot of information in there, but that's really it. So if you guys want to dig up some information, just keep your sleuthing sharp. Yeah, it would mean a lot to me if you could send me any information on Lisa because I'm gonna be putting it out there often. Or if you can just share it even on your social media. This picture right here and maybe the date and just put that it's a cold case with her name and maybe Huntington, Indiana, and the tip line that's in the description. I also pinned it in the chat box. You guys can do that for me. I'd appreciate it. Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, how obvious would it be? You know, a guy shows up at your ex-wife's house and he's obviously a hitman. You know, you're gonna look guilty as shit. But I guess you could look guilty, but you got to prove it. You know. Hey, Miss Thang. There was one crossbow murder not too far from there. It was far enough to seem like it wasn't connected, but what the guy did was um, he caught the guy coming to his vehicle from his apartment complex, and just like the old mafia movies, he shot him with the crossbow and then left the crossbow there. So I mean, I mean, there must be a way to get rid of all of that DNA, you know? Scrub it down maybe and then cover your entire body with some type of clothing. Kind of remind that movie Departed, where Mark Wahlberg comes in at the end and shoots Matt Damon, and he's like dressed in all that forensic. He's trying to like contain all the forensics that are contained on his body. He even like wore booties on his shoes and everything. Yeah, she had a guardian angel for sure. Maybe the whole box thing wasn't as good of an idea as that guy thought. Because for some reason, I'm thinking it could change, you know, the direction the arrow's going. It's going to be Huntington, Indiana. March 20th, 1998. And Lisa was 36 years old at the time. Thanks, Frank. I'll do that today. The song, the one at the beginning. Yeah, like Dexter. Mm-hmm. But see, Dexter did it different. He did like he contained the entire room with plastic, and then when he was all said and done and cleaned up, he just contained it and rolled it into itself. Thanks for joining, Vanessa. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, if he would have got her, there would be no witnesses but that camera. And even with that, they still don't know who it is. Fake mustache. It looked like a fake mustache. All right, we're running out of time here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at the updates here for Karena McClerkin. I'm going to play a video from around the time she first went missing. And then a couple years later, 2018, an interesting report from a female inmate. And apparently law enforcement did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. We'll talk about that for a moment. And then there's going to be the 5-year mark where they talk with their grandmother. And then we'll go ahead and show the breaking news for those of you who have not yet seen it.
That everybody is in a good, healthy mind state as we search for Karena, and I just pray that we bring her home safe and sound as we look for her. And I just thank you for us all being able to get together, Lord. In your name I pray, amen.
Karena, outspoken, kind, very considerate, not very athletic. Stubborn. A great person to be around. The plan of action is I just got a job back. I lost my previous job because I came here to search. So I start working Monday, and then every time I'm off, or every weekend I'm off, I'll be back here searching. I got a map. I'm gonna pan out, and it will be here passing out flyers 1 square at a time until I cover it. Then I start back over again if Karena's not found. Anybody that's selling dope or involved in dope, I just need them to take the time to sober up and pick up the phone and do the right thing. She just turned 18. She has an old future. There's merit she can do. She can still get her GED. She can do anything she possibly wants. She don't want to be out here in these streets. She made this comment. She wants to come clean. She wants to be right. She wants to do what she's fully capable of doing. So help me bring her home.
Them to go and investigate in this pond.
A voice from behind bars says she thinks she knows the whereabouts of a missing Kokomo teenager, Karena McClerkin. This follows our story on Friday about the teen's family offering a $50,000 reward. Working for URTV6's Derek Thomas talked to the woman and went to police to find out whether they are investigating her tip.
49-year-old Renee Murphy knows about jails and crime. She's serving time for violating her home detention for a dealing heroin conviction. And she says she's been told by inmates and other sources what happened to 19-year-old Karena McClerkin, who has been missing since October 11, 2016. She says the teen's dope dealer had her killed.
Karena had stolen some drugs from him. How he had paid another individual to give her what they call a hot shot, which is basically either bad dope or way too much, so that she wouldn't survive it.
This Garden Inn is now closed, but according to Murphy, back in 2016, McClerkin was given a lethal dose of illicit drugs and died inside that hotel.
They wrapped her in a car cover, and then they took her out and they threw her in this pond.
We will not give the exact location of that pond, but Kevin Stone lives very close to it. He says police did visit the site.
They was up here on the hill talking about there could have been a girl had overdosed, and she's back here buried somewhere. So
did they ever look?
No.
No searching?
No searching at all.
Did that surprise you?
Yes.
Police said they have pursued.
No searching. He said they didn't search at all. What the fuck is that about?
Information whenever and wherever it comes in, but Captain Teresa Galloway said she is still waiting on information about what she told you. But right now, we have no live leads at this point. We have investigated every call, every Facebook post, everything. On Friday, we told you about a $50,000 reward McClerkin's family is offering. Murphy isn't interested.
I don't want their money. I just want these people to find their daughter, because I can't imagine. I don't want a dime of their money.
Is McClerkin somewhere out there? Police say the case is still open. Derek Thomas, RTV6.
And it brings a smile to your face.
But then it brings tears. Because you can't hear it no more. You can't see her, you can't hear it.
Half a decade too long. A Kokomo family's daughter, sister, and granddaughter disappeared 5 years ago today without a trace. Now they're asking the community to step up and help find her, and sharing their memories with WRTV's Nikki Dementri.
On October 11, 2016, Karena McClerkin was last seen on South Washington Street here in Kokomo. In the 5 years since, her family and friends have never stopped looking for her, and they're praying they find her soon.
It's just embedded in my mind. It's just embedded.
Jerry McClerkin can never forget the day her granddaughter disappeared.
This is how she usually looked, right here.
Karena, just 18 at the time, disappeared after a party. Police say she was last seen walking down South Washington Street in Kokomo, a few blocks away from Foster Park, where I met with her grandmother.
I drove with the
Foster Park. Isn't that what was her name? Was it a Kayla who was talking in the murder sheet? She said that Anthony Schatz was trying to get her to go over there. Or was it Keegan? To go over there to Foster Park. You remember that? That's a strange coincidence.
same pictures in my car for 5 years in my windshield. And I still have people to this day from Kokomo come up and ask me, what's wrong, where's she at? And I have to tell them we don't know.
Karena is a sister, an aunt, a daughter, and a granddaughter. Her family says they've looked for her tirelessly these last 5 years.
Over 500 miles in and around Kokomo, from Jonesboro to Burlington, Peru, to past Alto. We have covered every woods we drive by. We would stop and knock on doors and see if we could walk through them woods.
Kokomo police tells WRTV Karena's case remains open and active. The department notes investigators, quote, have pursued numerous leads and tips.
We want her back.
But that's not enough for Karena's family and friends.
I don't even have any hope left. I'm tired.
They want both the police department and community to step up.
Why only remember her 2 days out of the year when everybody else is getting national coverage? Karena existed. She was not our imagination.
Jerry says she will never stop looking for her granddaughter, so her family will be at peace.
Not until the day I die. No, I won't.
Karena's family and friends will start here behind me at the Dollar General to walk in her honor on this 5-year anniversary. They hope that by walking, it brings awareness and encourages someone in the community who knows something to say something to bring Karena home. In Kokomo, Nikki Dementri, WRTV.
For answers in the case of their missing loved one, 18-year-old Karena McClerkin.
She's been gone for more than 5 years, and happening today, police are holding a news conference. They're going to give an update on a recent arrest in the case. Our Eric Pointer joins us now in the studio explaining what the family's hoping to learn. Eric?
Yeah, so this man, 57-year-old Flint farmer, is behind bars, charged with murder in connection to this 18-year-old who went missing 5.5 years ago. Her body never recovered. Karina's family is now focused on finding her remains and says that will finally bring closure. Karina was last seen on October 11, 2016 at a home on South Washington Street, which court documents reveal is an apartment where Farmer was last living at the time. Investigators say that night, surveillance video shows Karina and Farmer together at a convenience store, and later, witnesses reported hearing sounds of a woman being hurt in Farmer's apartment. According to court documents, investigators found blood stains in Farmer's garage, but they didn't say if they were McClerkin's. Documents also revealed phone calls Farmer made while in prison on drug dealing charges also link him to the case. One of the calls made by Farmer threatened a woman, with Farmer saying they would not find a body and him telling the woman to keep her mouth shut or she will end up like her, referring to McClerkin. Since her disappearance, Karina's family has searched for clues and waited for answers.
Would you be a good human and let me know where my daughter's laying at rest so that her siblings, all her siblings, can have peace? Be a good human and show us or tell us where her remains lie. We can all move forward.
I want to keep her name out there in case someone will come forward with the truth. That's all I've tried to do, was keep Karina's name out there.
According to her grandma, she had a phone conversation with someone saying McClerkin stole money from Farmer, and a witness told investigators they were both said to be involved in Xanax deals. Authorities have said that there could be more arrests to come. Hopefully, those details and many more will come later this morning at that news conference, and we'll also be streaming it on our website.
I too would like to welcome everyone to City Hall this morning. We appreciate you joining us as we update the community on additional details of a recent development. I'd like to begin by bringing your attention to those standing here with Kokomo Police Chief Doug Stout. They each represent a group of men and women who collectively work day in and day out to address public safety issues in our community as they arise. When I took office in January of 2020, I made a commitment to the citizens of Kokomo that along with Chief Stout and his team, this administration would make public safety a top priority. Knowing that the primary way to achieve success in that endeavor was to focus on increasing the staffing levels within the department, KPD leadership began an aggressive initiative to add the officers and staff
pressure does work.
necessary to be more proactive.
And I think that's something that we
versus
can do to
reactive.
help put some pressure.
By increasing the number of boots on the streets and adding a crime analyst to the staff, KPD has since been given opportunities to work more closely with our partner law enforcement agencies and to dedicate more resources to our outstanding cases, as evidenced by the recent developments in the Karena McClerkin case. It has been the collective efforts of many individuals, again represented by the officials standing here, since October 2016 that have brought us to this point in time today. With that, I'd like now to turn over the podium to Kokomo Police Chief Doug Stout to provide further information on the case. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for attending. Due to the sensitive nature of this investigation, the Kokomo Police Department will not be providing any additional details or answer any questions at the conclusion of this announcement in order to protect the integrity of this ongoing investigation. On October 13th, 2016, the Kokomo Police Department began a missing persons case. The family of 18-year-old Karena McClerkin reported that she had been missing since October 11th of 2016. The subsequent investigation revealed that Karena was last seen at a residence in the 1000 block of South Washington Street here in Kokomo. Since the time of the initial report, investigators of this department have continually followed up on every piece of information and tip that had been received, and we will continue to do so. In the fall of 2021, investigators received additional information about Karina's disappearance, as well as the events that took place the following day. After receiving this additional information, the Kokomo Police Department came up with a plan to try to further the investigation by generating additional information. We requested the assistance from the Indiana State Police and all of their available resources. The partnership of resources involved in this investigation is what ultimately has brought us here today to be able to stand before you and announce that the arrest has been made in reference to the Karena McClerkin case. The case was presented to the Howard County Prosecutor's Office for review. On July 18th, 2022, a warrant was issued for 57-year-old Flint Vincent Farmer of Kokomo for 1 count of murder. On the same day, at approximately 1 p.m., Kokomo police arrested Flint Farmer at a residence in the 600 block of South Purdom Street here in Kokomo. Additional arrests are anticipated. On July 19th, 2022, the ongoing investigation led investigators to a rural area in Miami County. As a result, investigators of the Kokomo Police Department, Indiana State Police, Howard County Coroner's Office, and the Miami County Coroner's Office located skeletal remains. Upon locating the remains, the Kokomo Police Department immediately notified Marlena Smith, the mother of Karena McClerkin. The remains that were located have been removed from the location and transported to Fort Wayne for further investigation by a forensic pathologist and to be positively identified. As you can imagine, we're all very hopeful in the identification process and hope to be able to come to a conclusion in this ongoing investigation for all the family and friends who have been grieving since 2016. This investigation has been an agency effort, so I would like to personally thank all of the dedicated men and women of the Kokomo Police Department, past and present, sworn and non-sworn, who have directly or indirectly participated throughout the course of this ongoing investigation. Excuse me. We also appreciate all of the public's tips and information that we have received as it pertains to this case. I respectfully request the public refrain from posting information about this case on social media. Most of the past social media posts have not been truthful and have greatly hindered this investigation and the investigative efforts along the way. Again, due to the sensitive nature of this investigation, the Kokomo Police Department will not be providing any additional details at this time. We will be providing additional details and updates when they become available. Anyone who may have additional information about this case is asked to contact Lieutenant Richard Benzinger at 765-456-7324 or the Kokomo Police Department hotline at 765-456-7017. You may also qualify for a cash reward by calling the Central Indiana Crime Stoppers at 1-800-262-TIPS with your anonymous tip. Anonymous tips can also be provided via text message to the number 847-411 and begin the text message with the keyword tip KPD. TIP KPD. Citizens can download the Kokomo app free on their smartphone through the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store. As always, all defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Thank you for coming.
Up there and tell everybody in Kokomo that you found my granddaughter. You're not right. You're wrong. We searched for that girl. Nobody else did.
The grandmother of Karena McClerkin emotional after police announced an arrest 6 years after the 18-year-old's disappearance. Within the past hour, police in Kokomo confirming the arrest of 57-year-old man in this case. McClerkin was first reported missing back in October of 2016. We've previously reported on the years-long effort of her father and her grandmother to get someone to come forward with information on her. Kokomo police now say they got new information on McClerkin in the fall of 2021. And 2 days ago, they arrested Flint Farmer at a home in Kokomo. And they charged him with murder. Then yesterday, another possible break in the case.
Investigators of the Kokomo Police Department, Indiana State Police, Howard County Coroner's Office,
Yeah, see, that's the problem with law enforcement is it's a career, you know? So if you have a case that you're not really you don't have a high success rate, it could affect your career. So to me, that's the main problem, is that they're just motivated by making that next jump. So there is your update. Great news with Karena McClerkin. Hopefully they can get a conviction, and it sounds like there's a lot more people involved. So I hope they round them all up, and I hope the charges stick. But today was really about kind of getting the ball rolling for the work that I want to do on Lisa Bauer's case. So like I said, if you guys can help me with that, send me any information that you might have that might help. Share it on your social media when you can. Do that favor if you could. And we're at the hour mark. So I want to thank everybody who showed up, participated in the chat, and I'll thank you in advance if you are planning on sharing Lisa's case. The tip line is in the description, so if you need any of that information to include. She was 36 years old. 36 years old at the time. It happened March 20th of 1998. It was Huntington, Indiana. So we're just getting started with this information, and we're going to continue to progress with it, I promise. And any way that you can help would be much appreciated. Take care, everybody.